Hello friends, welcome to my channel and thanks for watching this video. Friends, welcome to another session of USA weekly market report. Now last week market turns severely volatile and the way it has moved, it's quite for short-term traders or the person who are very nascent to stock market is quite devastating. But I have said about talked about the volatility and also about the results. If you can go and recheck the last week's market report, that obviously as the result season started, good news started flowing in and the stock market will bounce back, and that has what happened, and the stock market bounced back quite sharply. Now if you are looking at the gist of what has happened. So this is the last Friday's close. Now Dow Jones again above 35,000, reclaiming 35,000. Nasdaq 14,800. S&P 500 4,400. And last week was quite surprising because for almost all the five trading sessions, the major indices was in green. So it's a green week that has just passed by. And not only that, the US 10-year treasury fall drastically on the downside, and we have also seen some respite in the oil prices because of the after the OPEC meeting, and so does the VIX. So everything looks like is in the favor of equity market, and probably the risk on trade is again coming back onto the table. The only one thing is US dollars. So it is very near to 93. It is sometimes going at or above 93, sometimes at or below 93. But it is holding on to the mark. Let's see how it would move, and then we will discuss about that. So the going talking about the charts, we will go and check all the charts, analyze all the charts. So we will start with the star performer, the Dow Jones, because the way it has performed is quite amazing. That in the past 5 days, so what you can see is the daily chart, and now you can see this green candle. I think it's a weekly chart. Yeah, it's a weekly chart. So going on to the daily charts, as you can see, 1 2 3 4. So this is a very strong week that has passed by. So let's go to the short-term chart. So here we are. Now you can see how the indices has moved, and not only that, it has very near to a breakout level. Okay, so there is something which the market likes and likes it very much. So as you can see here, yeah, we are. So the way it has moved, it has just you know placed itself at the resistance level, and once this 35,097 or 35,100 level crossed, you will see a fresh move, and I would say a very sharp move or a new move in the chart of Dow Jones. So what we are expecting beyond 35,000 will be a range that is in between 36,870 and 37,500. So this is what we are looking at. Let's see how it will move. Now understand one thing, because it's a combination of industrials and economy facing stocks, probably some brick and mortar kind of companies. So they are now gaining some traction, and that's what it is showing. Now talking about the Nasdaq, which is a much bigger basket, now it is again moved to its lifetime high, because as you can see, it's fall down to 14,175, and from there it has sharply recovered 700 points. So you know this is what the power of bull market is. And if you try to short this kind of market, I've said that don't try to overstay your welcome. And if you try to short this kind of market, and if you go wrong, you will go wrong big time. So don't do this kind of tricks. When the market tricks you, it would be a bigger problem. Now there is a specific range as far as the Nasdaq is concerned, and the way it is moving, it is very much clear. As you can see here, it is very much clear that on the downside you have the 200-day moving average of probably 14,013,948, and on the upside it is just started moving. So on the upside you have a very big range which will be in between 16,600 and probably 17,500 on the upside. So every indices is showing something positive. There is no way you you will deny the price, and you will deny the screen. Okay, and the screen is saying that market is going up, you have to believe that. Now quite surprisingly, the movement of you know here we are, the movement of US 10-year treasury, and the way it's moved, it's like it is about to fall and fall big time. But it's just place itself above. I would say it has just saved itself in between 1.19 and the low of 1.13. Because if by any means if started falling below this level, then the next support you have here will be at 0.95 or 0.96. Then it would be considered as a dramatic fall. Okay, so anyhow, this is not like this is the final support, because the way you can see how these lines, these are nothing but the moving averages, 20, 50, 100 and 200, how these lines are converging. And these kinds of conversion, for example, this gray line of 100-day moving average, it overpowers or makes a crossover above 20 and 50. So this is not at all looking positive. So which means there is weakness, and it will prevail over a period of time. Okay, that you need to know and understand about. Now let's check the oil, because the Brent, it went down to from the highs of 77, it went down to 68, and from there it made a sharp jump towards 73 and 74. But anyhow, at least we have seen some volatility after the OPEC meet, so we can use these levels as our reference point. So the current range that we are looking at for the time being is this one, right? So this is the current range that we are looking at, and here we are. On the downside you have your support at 68, and on the upside you have your resistance at 80. And if it falls below 68, then you will have your next support at 60. So I will say the volatility comes back. Till now the trend was very strong. Now the volatility comes back, and you will see moves on both the sides. That's what I can say here. Now if there is anything left here to discuss about, and that will be the dollar index, because it will tell us how the money is moving and actually where the money is moving or probably move. So this is the daily chart, but if you go back to like 15 minutes chart, what you can see here, what you can see here is this level of 93. Let's go to 30-minute chart. Here we are. Now what you can see here, this level, so this range makes it very volatile, which is in between 92.80 and 93.20. Okay, so this range makes the whole trend or for the near trend very volatile, and the way it is moving, it is in some sort of dilemma, or I would say a congestion zone for the dollar index. So it will take its own time to decide. But as far as the daily chart, or if you are looking at the long term trend, there is no way, with the kind of debt we have, not only in the US but across the globe, but more specifically in the US, because we are talking about the dollar index, there is no way you will see a substantial amount of gain, because it is not like it will not happen or it can't happen, but because if it will happen, you will see a massive amount of suppression, in the financial market, and the way the stock market is going to act is will be quite devastating, because currency is not a joke, and if currency goes higher, you need to pay it, and the mark to market losses will be severely higher. So for the time being, if I may draw the trend line like this, you will see a slight kind of breakout that has happened, but we need further confirmation. And if it continues to hold above this level 92.67, then there will be a bounce back, and the bounce back leads could probably lead the dollar index toward 94 or 95. Okay, so this is what we can see. So this is the range that is open for dollar index right now, but we have to see whether this is a actual breakout or a false breakout, because the way it's moving, it's not sustaining here for the time being. So we have to see whether it will consolidate here and then started moving up. But yes, this is a very important thing, and this has been talked about for quite a long time, whether it will be able to break 93 or not. If it doesn't, then the fall this time will be very big, at least for the starters. I have told this thing couple of times in my video. So at least for the starters, the fall that you can probably see will be at 89. Okay, if I may draw a line like this, then even this level of here we are 93.4 will pose a resistance for dollar index. So you have you have quite some levels to look at, and we have to see how this will move. But nobody wants and the kind of central bank we have, they don't want it to go beyond a level, because it will pose threat to their plans. So let's see how it will move. So this is the only surprising puzzle for the time being, but because result seasons are going on and they are quite good, and we have seen the index or all the indices move to the green, and it's by a good margin, and the way it has moved is quite surprising, that those who have shorted last week, they completely run for their cover, and I actually made big amount of losses. So this is a good week that has passed by, and the way the indices poised themselves is very good, and they are looking very positive, and probably that's what we are going to carry in the upcoming weeks as well. So I'll say, if you don't understand the upside, at least don't try to short the market. Otherwise, you will be in a big problem, okay, because the market is nowhere looks like it's going to go on the downside. So this is the end of the video. If you like this content, do share your thoughts in the comment section and subscribe my channel. Lastly, take care of your family and friends.